Hi, this is Vicki Suter with Suter Business Builders, and welcome to another episode of The Profit Builder. And today I'm doing something a little bit different. I have a guest with me, Kyle Hunt. And Kyle and I know each other because we belong to a construction consultants mastermind group together. And from the very first time I met him, he just really impressed me in terms of his skill and knowledge, particularly in the area of marketing. He serves specifically the contracting industry. Kyle Hunt is a business coach for remodelers and owner of Remodel Your Marketing. And he's the creator of Remodelers Circles. In addition to working one-on-one with remodelers, Kyle leads mastermind groups of non-compete remodelers throughout the country. He's focused on making you a better remodeler and helping you achieve your business goals. Kyle resides in Michigan with his wife and 4 children. You can hear his podcast by searching for Remodelers on the Rise or join his free Facebook group, Remodelers Community. So welcome, Kyle. Thanks for being on my blog and being a guest today. Well, so I want to jump in with my first question here, and that is, what do you consider to be the foundation of a successful marketing system for remodelers?
Gotcha. So a couple things come to mind as far as a marketing system for remodelers. And that first thing is, are you trying to be all things to all people? Mm-hmm. Or do you actually have a target, whether it's the type of client you're after or the type of project that you do? When you are all things to all people, especially in this day and age where people are getting, I don't know what the stat is, and 63% of all statistics are made up anyway. Yes, that was funny. Yeah. Yeah. If you had, where's your drum kit? Yeah, you're supposed to hit the cymbal. Yeah. So I don't know what the stat is, but literally we see hundreds of ads and offers every day. So especially nowadays, if we are just like, we do it all and we do painting and remodeling and new construction and repairs, that's just not going to cut through the clutter. It's not good. Marketing attracts the right clients and repels the wrong clients. And a lot of that, sure.
No, I was just going to say, I completely agree with you. And isn't it true that we are bombarded with so much information these days that if we don't make it super simple for somebody to be able to know that we can solve a problem for them very quickly by helping them identify how we are a resource for them in solving a problem, then they're not going to, we're just more noise out there, right?
Sure. Solving a problem and also what makes you different. So when we think about the marketing foundation, those two things are what come to mind with a good marketing foundation is, one, who is your ideal client? What is your ideal project? That strategy part. And then secondly, what makes you different? You know, do you look the same, talk the same, and act the same as everybody else? Because if so, the only thing, if I'm looking at remodeler A and remodeler B, and you both look, talk, and act the same, the only thing I'm left to decide on is price, right? I'm just going to go with the cheapest price. And in order to avoid that, in order to charge what you need to charge to run a profitable business, in order to stand behind your work, in order to make a good living for you and your employees, you need to differentiate. So to think through that marketing foundation of what makes me different, what makes us different, a great way to do that, and just a place to start, you go in the corner of your office and just brainstorm and think through it, which is good, but even better, go to the clients.
I'm going to go stand in the corner of my office, or...
A lot of people think like, oh, I just need this quiet time to just think about this and then it'll all come to me. You could. For some people, that may work. Maybe just driving. So many of my clients are like, I do my best thought when I'm just driving around. But what is even better than that is to just pick up the phone and call some previous clients. Why did you choose us in the first place? What do we do that others don't? If there was one word that best describes us, what would it be? And if you do that with a number of clients, you'll start to hear some patterns. You'll start to go, wow, I always thought that it was this that really people valued, but wow, it's that. So just before this conversation, just to kind of be real with this, Vicki, you asked me, you're like, how are you doing? And I said, well, are you recording yet? And you're like, no. I said, well, let me tell you, like it was a really rough week last week that won't get into details. And then I just got done with lunch. I was asked you if we could start 15 minutes later because the lunch ran long. But it just made my head think and spin, this lunch did. But the real tie-in here is that this gentleman was not in, like, you can't see the forest for the trees, right? He was from the outside kind of looking in to a situation that we have, and he was able to give just a different perspective. And it's similar when we're in the business and we're like, oh, it must be this that makes us different. we can't see it. But when you're on the outside, when you're a client who's experienced your services, the projects, it just gives a whole nother understanding and clarity on it. So those two things, what were those two things when it comes to marketing foundation, Vicki?
Well, one of them is to be really clear about who you're serving and who's your ideal customer.
Bingo.
And then
number two, differentiate.
So one of the ways that you're saying that people can differentiate is to go out to your customers, and if you're not clear for yourself about how that is, ask them why they chose you, because that's a really great way for you to get feedback about what you specifically do that makes people want to do work with you.
Yep, they already know, like, and trust you. They've experienced it.
Right.
It's a great route to go.
That's awesome. So what do you think, so this is my next question for you. What do you see is an undervalued marketing approach that nobody's talking about? And I know that you talk about this. So what is that?
Sure. So I'll share a story. This was years ago now. I spoke at the International Builder Show out in Vegas, and I was doing a talk in the afternoon. I'll tell you what that topic, because the topic of my talk is the answer to the question. But before, I got there early, so I was kind of walking around the different educational halls, and I walked in one of them, and it's like standing room only. It's an encore, like a second time they're doing it from a one they did that morning, and the person's up there talking about likes and shares and Facebook, and you can tweet this, and it was before Instagram was even out there, but just talking about social media. And do my remodeling clients have social media as part of their marketing plan? Absolutely. But my talk my talk was the next morning, and it was like a 7 a.m. session. So that probably was part of the reason I wasn't as highly attended. Vegas, 7 a.m., second or third day of the show. But it was also because
by the third day.
Yes, but it was also because my topic was not very glamorous. The topic of, like, what's an underutilized business building tool are strategic partnerships. I think the title of my talk was the most undervalued and underappreciated marketing tool for your remodeling business. And when I talk about strategic partners, a strategic partner is anybody who shares the same ideal client as you do. So if I'm a builder, or if I'm a remodeler, it might be an architect, it might be an interior designer, it might be a realtor, it might be a high-end landscaper, but it's also anybody who shares the same ideal client as you. So if you have that marketing foundation of who's my ideal client, maybe a lot of your clients are business owners. Well, guess what? Your CPA who works with a bunch of business owners could be a great strategic partner. So it doesn't have to be within kind of our industry. A lot of times that's a natural fit, but so often we just ignore this kind of gift that keeps giving, this referral partner, this strategic partner. And what I like to do is, number one, just list out who your current strategic partners are. Just take the time to list them out, because what you're going to find is, wow, I haven't talked to that person in a year. They used to refer me. Where did they go? Or just it'll help you there. And then number two, schedule some BLBs.
Breakfast, lunch,
beer.
Oh, okay.
I was impressed. BLB, breakfast, lunch, or beer. Like if I called, one of my strategic partners up and said, hey, do you want to have a BLB with me? They'd be like, huh? What are you talking about? Oh, it's a breakfast, lunch, or beer, your choice.
Yeah.
Just the acronym to make you think about it. But the thought is just getting together with these strategic partners and just talking about business. Good things come from that. It's amazing how often my clients will have a BLB with an interior designer that they kind of know or that they used to do work with, and walk away with a lead. It doesn't always happen like that, but
Right.
It's surprising how often. So a little bit of proactiveness in that area goes a long way.
Yeah. And I would add, so I love that. And I would add to that too, that, this ties in with the first point that you made, which is be clear about who your ideal customer is and what's your ideal work, where you make the best rate of return, where you do your best work, where, it's in your best wheelhouse. There's a range, a size, a type.
Yep.
Also true when you're doing outreach to strategic partners is to make sure that they also serve that same audience. So that's just one distinction I'd just like to add to what you just said. The other thing too, I think, Kyle, is, the thing I always say is it's, are you front of mind? And I belong to the National Association of Remodelers industry up here in the North Bay of California. And I can't tell you how many times that I have referred somebody within that group that I have not worked with, that are not a client of mine, but because I know them from being on the board with them or from having enough connection with them in that environment, I have a sense of, are they a good referral, particularly people in my who are on the board, who
Sure.
I go, I know how they behave there. I know that I can trust
Right.
them. So it's that, like trust thing.
Right. Marketing is
Go
right.
ahead.
Marketing is getting someone who has a need to know, like, and trust you. And that's part of that BLB thought. And that makes all the sense in the world. And when you say, they come to mind because you're interacting with them, you're serving together, you've gotten to know them over time. And so often we kind of just, it's just underused. Like, we all kind of know that makes sense, but we just don't kind of lean into it and pursue it like we should.
Right. Yeah. Well, we are about at time, but before I let you go, so just recap part of what I just heard you say is some key things that people want to do. And, one of the things that I think is super important for all of us to remember is that when we're very busy, which is the case for so many people right now, it's super important that we're marketing now and we're building those relationships and the connections so that you're not operating on that roller coaster of, I market, I get work, revenue goes up, and then I stop marketing, and then that project ends, and then now I'm like, it's that feast or famine. And the way to stop that
never happens in this industry.
No. The way to stop that is when you're super busy is to continue to market, and be out there and build relationships and build those connections. And
absolutely,
as you say, strategically, where you're meeting with the people and you're going after clients and that are really more of within the niche of what is best, where you do your best work, where you make the best rate of return, and with the people that you want to be doing work with. And then secondly, that you're building those strategic alliances and you're making those connections consistently with people who also serve that same audience. Yeah.
Boom. Love it.
So I know that you have some services that you provide that help people, because when people are super busy all the time, and that's why we don't market, right? It's that thing of, it's not pressing on us to do. And I know that you've created a system that really helps people create an easy to use and execute process that can happen consistently. And can you speak to that just a minute and then tell people where and how they can reach you?
Sure. So part of kind of what you're talking about is what I consider is your most valuable marketing asset is your previous client or your previous clients. The majority of the dollars that you're going to put into your bank account, top line revenue, is coming from repeat work from previous clients, referrals from previous clients. It's always going to be either your number one or maybe number two revenue generator, not just lead generator, but just revenue generator. So one of the key services that kind of you're hinting at that I offer my clients is a done for you email newsletter. So if you're a remodeler, you have your list of previous clients, prospects, strategic partners, maybe you have 200, 300, 400 names. So often we're not doing anything to stay in touch with them. So when we stay in touch with our previous clients, should we be calling some people throughout the year? Yep. Should we maybe mail them something once or twice a year? Yes. When we do a parade of homes or a home show, should we be inviting and offering free tickets? Absolutely. But we also should be emailing them, once a month email newsletter, just like you said, stay top of mind. So that's one of the services that I offer called Remodelers Autopilot. And it allows you just to very easily, consistently, month in, month out, without literally, you just kind of lift your finger like this and the rest happens for you. So
all they have to do is lift their finger?
Yep. Just like this finger, usually it's kind of clicking, and maybe you have to go like this to say, that looks great, send it out, Kyle. And I'll have my team do it or myself do it.
You do it for them. You customize it a little bit for them. I'm assuming their logo.
Yep.
And then your team does the whole thing for them. But what it does is it creates a consistent touch and connection with their previous clients or
exactly.
prospects.
Yep. So that's kind of one part of it. So if that's of interest or intrigue to you, the way you can reach out, you can go to remodelyourmarketing.com, YOUR marketing.com, or you can call or text 517-902-8450, or my email, kyle@remodelyourmarketing.com. And then I would just kind of hit those two things that you mentioned. Remodelerscommunity.com links you directly to the Facebook page. You'll see Vicky there. You'll see me there, and see like 400, I think it's literally actually 444 when I looked the other day, of just really great remodelers who are just sharing ideas. Yeah. And then Remodelers on the Rise, if you search for that, you'll find my podcast.
Yeah, great podcasts. I really appreciate those too. So is there anything that somebody can get for you from you? And I know I didn't ask you this before we started, but like anything somebody can get from you for free to kind of, give them a little bit of an experience of Kyle?
The podcast is a great way to do that. But if you go to remodelyourmarketing.com, project discovery sheet, what to expect at the first meeting, and an example of a sales tracking spreadsheet, very practical templates, tools that you can toss in your email address and you'll get access to those templates. That would be a great kind of free.
And we'll put the link in the bottom of the video. So
awesome.
Kyle, thank you. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate you sharing your expertise with our listeners and our watchers. This is Vicki Suter. Thanks for listening to the Profit Builder blog, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Kyle.